Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
So good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. You know that the important message, this session is being recorded and we will share it through the channels of the European Cluster Alliance and both the European Cluster Collaboration Platform. So if you keep with us, you are accepting that. It's important for you to know. And once said that, welcome again. Today we are going to continue with our series about the relationship between clusters and the European Enterprise Network. You know that Daniel Cosnita from Clustero is our link with the EEN. And so thank you, Daniel, for your collaboration at this point and concretely for organizing this new session about collaboration in smart mobility. Okay, I want to introduce you very briefly the speakers: Vincent Lemot, Next Move Cluster, Silvana Sanfeliu from Smart Communities Touch Cluster, and Fernando Zubillaga from the MLC ITS SCADI Cluster. So welcome everybody, and Daniel will be the moderator as usual in these sessions. Thank you, Daniel. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Antonio, for giving us the opportunity to present the collaboration between the Enterprise Europe Network and clusters. Now, the topics that we have selected for today, the smart mobility, as you always have already mentioned, it is very important and very relevant, as the mobility is one of the 14 industrial ecosystems, and also it was very hardly hit during the pandemic crisis. Mobility is very complex, and it has several. It's not only transportation, but it has also to deal with communities, with towns, with cities, with complex logistics aspects, also with digitalization processes. So this is why we today selected three clusters that, in our opinion, represent good or best practice examples in the way that that mobility becomes smarter and smarter in Europe. So we have a cluster from France, we have a cluster from Italy, we have a cluster from Spain, and we will start with the next move, the French cluster. Our speakers will discuss about presentation of their clusters, how they dealt with the pandemic, what are the services that the cluster has developed or changed, the business model that they've changed during the pandemic, and also the way that the clusters cooperate with the Enterprise Europe Network. Because we have not to forget that clusters are not a goal per se, but also they are instruments in support of innovation and internationalization of SMEs. So we will start with next move, the French cluster, and I would like to ask Vincent to start with his presentation. Thank you, Vincent, for coming and presenting in our session.
Hi Daniel, thanks a lot. Can you hear me well, and can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
But Vincent, your slides are not in full screen mode. Could you put it then in full screen?
Yes. Just 1 second.
Perfect.
So
Thank you very much.
This will not be in full screen for the whole presentation, but for most of the time, yes. So first, thanks a lot, Daniel and ECA for the invitation. It's really a pleasure and an honor to speak about this topic, especially because this is a very relevant topic. So I'm glad to be with you all. So just to present next move. We are a French automotive and mobility cluster located in two regions, which are Paris region, Île-de-France, and Normandy. And these two regions, they account for 70% of R&D in the automotive sector. So that's why we have more now than 600 members. And actually, Next Move is the new name of the Moveo cluster. It's a new name because we have merged with the two associations of the automotive industry in our two regions. And it's also an English name because we have a European ambition that we can see through this kind of an alliance, this kind of presentations, and also in the framework of EU projects. So indeed, we talked about smart mobility. It's one of our thematics. Automotive and mobility for Next Move is about low environmental footprint mobility. So this means e-mobility, hydrogen, and so on, safe, connected, and autonomous mobility, and as we said, new services and mobility solutions, but now also a great focus on industrial and operational excellence, because this is a huge thematic for most of our members. So now just to come concretely to the presentations of today. So what we've done during COVID, what did we change, and our cooperation with EEN now and during the future. First, just to say that we have had short-term actions during the COVID to help our members. We have a team which is divided between like the support of projects and more the connection with members, just to say very basically. And of course, during COVID, there were less events, less travels, and so on. So all our team had to redirect its actions. And what we've done as a cluster is to help in our regions to order and distribute masks for the companies, because this was very difficult at the beginning, and to enable the continuation of activities. Then, rather than supporting innovative projects in this period, it was more about enabling our members to benefit from the government funding schemes that were implemented during the COVID because of the stopping of the activities. And finally, we decided to launch the funding campaign towards all our members to know what was the situation, what did they need from the cluster or from other members, and so on. And when you do something like this in a crisis, you're not very sure what would be the reaction, because of course the cluster is important for them, but you might think they have other priorities than having a 1 hour phone call and so on. And no, this was maybe one of the most powerful actions that we had last year. Sorry for the slide. It was really much appreciated because sometimes some members felt a bit alone and also lost in the funding schemes. So this funding campaign was really a success, and it has really helped to strengthen the connection between the cluster and its members. But also, in addition to those short-term actions, I want to come to the longer term, because that's the question of today also. How did we adapt our strategy? So we decided, because we had a bit more time during COVID, to really think about the longer term strategy, because we, as maybe many of you, we understood very quickly that this would change many things. So we decided to adapt the strategy, first to help the sector recovery, then to generate private resources, because in France, at first the clusters were funded like 100% by the state, but now it has changed, and we really need to make private resources and to have a balanced model. So the question was, how do we do this in this period? And finally, optimize the internal organizations, because of course some of us had less actions possible during this period, but were able to help in another way. So that's why we have adapted our strategy. So how did we do this? So first, to help the recovery. We have made a great lobbying action with the representative of the automotive sector to really push the interest of our members in the French recovery plan, saying that the automotive sector was in danger if it was not supported. Then we decided to continue proposing events and so on, of course, in the form of webinars, but also to have a thematic animation of our ecosystem. So to organize during 3 months, for instance, webinars on e-mobility, on power electronics, and so on. So continuing animating the ecosystem. So that was the main actions, being a pusher of interest and continue animating. Then generating private resources, of course, we reviewed all the service offerings that we had and we checked if it would be relevant in the future. So of course, yes, but this has needed some adjustments. So, and also new actions like the ones I've mentioned. Also the fact that all this service offering, it was needed to digitalize it and to enable it via our website, our new website. And this was even more important because we couldn't travel in the offices of our members. So generating private resources was a lot about digitalizing our action. And finally, optimize our internal organization. So this means rationalizing a bit the offices. Teleworking has been a lot implemented in our internal team, of course, as many of our members. Also making sure that all these offline meetings were useful. This means defining concrete rules to meet, to avoid having too much meetings because it's easier to plan. So this was, optimizing the internal organization, and we didn't want also to lose this innovative mind, I would say, of a cluster team, which is enabled by a teamwork. And now that we are teleworking, we have implemented tools to enable each of us to raise ideas for the action of the cluster, even if there are no concrete discussions every day. But we have tools to still being innovative in the way we support members. So that's the main thing I had to do on how we adapted to the COVID-19 situations. And regarding this business model and the cooperation with Europe Enterprise Network, and then I will stop here because it's more than 10 minutes. But just to say that the Europe Enterprise Network is, of course, important for us because it supports innovation and it supports internationalization, and that's what we want to do. Also because we have really a European and international ambition. So now the EEN network, of course, is in transition period in France and elsewhere. We wanted to be involved first in the consortium, but because of the budget and so on, we will more support than being a part of EEN. And we tend to have a very concrete cooperation because the EEN networks that will be put in place will be the first door, of course, to redirect companies to be supported for innovation and for internationalization. And in a way, we could have, if we didn't cooperate, we could have competing services, but I believe not. And I believe this network will be very important for us because they provide some services for innovation and we provide others, for instance, labeling the projects and also having this, I would say, sectoral expertise, automotive expertise. So they have the broader view and maybe more means, and we have a more sectoral expertise. So the cooperation, is here. And finally, regarding internationalization, it's also taking benefit of all these international links For instance, in the framework of EU project, we are coordinator also with Silvana from Torino Wireless in an internationalization project for SMEs. So it's also making the link with EEN to make connections abroad. And because of the service offering I've talked about before, internationalization innovation is so much important for us. So the connection with EEN will also be. So I'll just stop here. I hope this was clear and straight to the point, and I'll be happy to exchange with you. Maybe not afterwards. I've said it, but you can. I will give you my email in the chat, and please feel free to ask questions. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Vincent, for the presentation. Maybe you have time, because you have time for. He has already left. He had to go. We thank him, and then we go to the next presentation, where we'd like to put the emphasis maybe on the role, mobility and the community. So we had the perspective of the car industry, but now let's talk a little bit about mobility and the community, the people. And it's a pleasure for me to ask Silvana from Smart Community Cluster in Italy to share with us some thoughts about it. Silvana?
Yeah, hello, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, okay, then the presentation should be okay right now, right? Okay, so thank you everyone for the invitation, and to Daniel especially, and Antonio, to having us here. As Daniel was saying, I represent the Italian Technology Cluster for Smart Communities. Italy actually decided in 2012 to start, let's say, incentivate the creation of national clusters at the Italian level that could support all the companies, the research centers, and in the case of smart communities, the smart cities too, throughout the country, especially to create, as clusters, the main purpose we have is to create collaboration and to create connection. So the idea here was to go a little bit away from the regional perspective and go to an Italian perspective, and support companies in working together at Italian level, and also, of course, at the European and abroad. So it was, in fact, to promote public and private innovative collaboration, and also to better support the organizations from Italy, also to let's say, apply and get European funds, contribute to the European research and development and innovation. So we we are the coordinators of the Italian Cluster for Smart Communities. This cluster, is aimed, of course, as it says, it has the smart communities in the middle. So what it does is to support the development of new innovations and new research and development between the companies and the research centers, and having always the smart cities and the smart communities in the middle. So that's why we have 3 areas of specialization. One is the one that we are tackling today, smart and collaborative mobility. The other one is smart and secure living, which for us is everything that it has to do with safety and security of both the person and the infrastructures of a city. And then the smart and inclusive government, which of course tackles all the kind of let's say technologies that can be applied to improve the services of the public administration, and also to use the data that is available available everywhere by the citizens and by the public administration to improve better the services that the citizens have. Next. I'm just having trouble going next. Okay. So as I told you, it's Italian network, so it's composed by public, industry, and research stakeholders. It covers all the Italian territory. We have 11 Italian regions like involved as managing partners of the clusters. I represent the entity from the Piedmont region, so in the northeast, in the northwest part of the country, and we work together. Of course, the idea is to be like a contact point, on each region, but they work together at a national level. We have currently more than 45 cities, small cities, big cities involved in the cluster. More than 100 partners and members, let's say, between companies and research centers, mainly, of course, SMEs, because we know that the main industrial issues of the industrial compartment of the country is small and medium companies, and at the end is our aim to support them to enhance themselves and their competitiveness. And we interact with more than 400, let's say, national, international actors in all the activities we do. As today we are collaborating, and what we presented today is the collaboration we have with other partners. These are the, as I told you, the 11 and more than, there are actually 13 representatives of usually innovation agencies that are located in each region, and the idea is in that way to have the overview of the region in terms of what the industries and the research is going on. We as Torino Wireless are let's say, the coordinator of the partners, and we, let's say, contribute to the cluster also with the staff. So in fact, that's why maybe some of you know me already because of Torino Wireless, and this time I have the Smart Communities Tech. Actually, as Torino Wireless, we are an innovation agency, so we coordinate 2 clusters, but we are actually also part of the EEN network. So in fact, not only us, but these other 3 partners of the clusters are members of Enterprise Europe Network. So that's why, in fact, we link a lot, and we have a really well connection and collaboration with the network, being already involved ourselves within it. So it, of course, facilitates the interaction and the organization of and dissemination of opportunities and events for the SMEs. So our 7 strategic actions as a cluster are, well, I think is really similar to every cluster. We have the main 3 are, of course, the strategic support to policymaker, because in this case, as I told you, it was these clusters were born as an initiative of the ministry, of the Research and Innovation Ministries and of the Industrial Ministry right now. So what we do is we act as a collector and as a collector and an analyst, let's say, of which are the interests of the companies and the research centers that are working in solutions on our 3 domains, and we analyze them and let's say communicate it to the ministries in order for them to get to really know what is happening and to make better decisions regarding policies. Of course, we support in collaboration and project development to the companies, creating networking, both national and international, and also getting them the information the companies need for the initiatives and opportunities they have. Then we have the other 7 strategies. Actions are, of course, the promotion, dissemination, and communication of initiatives, but also of what the cluster members are doing, and research and resource exploitation, development of human capital, and we are a data-driven cluster because, of course, using technologies and using data as the, let's say, the main part of what we do. Also, when we analyze the companies, we gather a lot of information, and then we put it at work, and we put it available to anyone that is interested. So as I was telling you, we developed this strategic research and innovation roadmap, with this, which is updated each year, and it's a work we do strictly like organizing work groups with the members of the clusters, when we analyze what are they currently doing, what are they in which topics they are investing now, and which is their, let's say, short-term, mid-term interest in terms of research and innovation. And this, what we developed was some specific actions that the cluster is gonna, let's say, promote more or support more by 2030. There are, of course, linked to the let's say to the goals that we have as a country and as a cluster, and then we also there put some of our contributions to them. So this is like kind of a little bit of information about each of the pillars. Let's say for smart mobility, that is the topic we're discussing today. We, of course, are aiming to support mobility services that are sustainable, accessible, and flexible, that are suitable for people's needs, every kind of people. So any kind of citizens. The idea is to make, you know, really create integration and support all the communities that are within the city and in the country. And also we have the aim of using more public transportation services than private vehicles in order to enhance, you know, the environment. We have also, of course, tackled the resilient communities right now, especially after COVID. In fact, as we said, people go first, the technologies follow, the technologies and enable for supporting better what people need. In fact, now after the COVID, well, currently still in the COVID, we know we have new smart communities because, as Vincent was saying, the communities have changed and have evolved, and there's new needs and challenges that the communities and the cities are facing. So actually our priorities didn't change because of COVID. They just became more urgent and more strong. Because as I told you, like the idea is to enhance sustainability, to support the resilient communities, and also the governments in having more digitalization and developments. So what did we do against COVID as a cluster? This time when we updated the roadmap, we did it with an addendum about COVID-19. We studied different cities, as you said, it's in Italian, sorry about that, but we studied what the different cities were doing in terms of let's say digitalization and how they were coping with COVID needs. It was of course a study made together with PricewaterhouseCoopers that we use sometimes as a consultant, but we then analyzed the results and we came up with the idea was to have kind of a worldwide knowledge of what was COVID causing and the challenges that the cities had. And also a part of this, of course, we asked the companies what they were doing in order to tackle or to support or to, you know, better manage the COVID situation, not only as internally within their companies, because we know that all of us had to kind of adapt to this new way of working. Actually, for us, being a national cluster and having members from all around Italy, we were used to work online. Of course, the idea was always to meet at least twice a year in a central point in Italy or something like that. Last year we couldn't do it. This year is also kind of difficult, but we, in that way, like we already used with the companies to work online, to do these workshops and workshops online. So in that way, we didn't change. What we of course changed was to analyze and rethink about our support and how to better support the members. So we actually, given that open innovation is also one of our main interests as a smart city, as a smart communities cluster, we organized last year a set of 4 webinars about open innovation in different fields. And in fact, the first one was how to use open innovation to tackle the change in the times of COVID. So they were all held online, of course, and they're all in Italian, but they're all online, also available if you would like to follow them. We also, one of the virtual meetings that we do each year is called, actually this one was one of the in-person meetings that we held, because it's like a table workshop when we use these cities and companies sit together and the cities talk about which are their challenges. and the companies talk about which are their solutions, services, and what they can do in order to tackle those challenges. We do this each year. Last year was at the end of the year, it was online, and it was of course concentrated on COVID. So it was which was the challenges and the needs that the cities by themselves had to better support the pandemic situation. Something that we also did in terms of the dissemination and promotion of opportunities was to create news about the COVID innovative solutions that the companies, the members of the clusters, also the research centers, were doing or developed during the last year. We have up to, until now 12 innovative solutions that were all or new solutions or solutions that were adapted in order to support any kind of issue that was that arose because of the pandemic. And then we also, of course, continue publishing funding and supporting opportunities for the companies, because of course, mainly having small and medium companies, some of them were kind of also in crisis, so that was the idea, to follow them up and to support them also in their ways to maintain themselves and to develop and take advantage of opportunities that were around Italy and Europe. So all of this, how we do it and how we can continue to do it, is we have to be strength for our communities. We have to collaborate, of course, so that's why we are an open innovation cluster. We're an innovation cluster. We promote collaboration in any kind of sense. That's why we're collaborating with several of you clusters in creating new opportunities and new ways for our members to develop new solutions, new services, and to improve their competitiveness. And of course, everything has to be now more focused on environmental and social sustainability in order to follow also the European Commission's direction: sustainability, resilience, and digitalization. I think we are all agreeing on that. So I end my presentation with this. This is an event we are actually organizing with Vincent, with from Next Move, with Fernando, that's going to talk about after me, from the mobility and logistic clusters in the Basque Country, and with Daniel, representative of Cluster O. It's an event for creating partnerships for Horizon Europe. It's specifically focused on Cluster 5 calls, so calls for proposals tackling mobility, climate, and energy project proposals. Is going to be held next week from Tuesday 20 to Thursday 22. The first day is going to be a conference where the companies from our clusters are going to present ideas and competences specifically tackling these the Cluster 5 topics. And then the 2 other days, thanks to our collaboration with the Enterprise Europe Network, there's going to be a brokerage event organized by the Enterprise Europe Network to facilitate these companies to meet, not only the ones that are presenting the first day, but companies from all around Europe that are interested in participating to Horizon Europe. So this is the end of my presentation, and it was. Oh, these are my contact, and thank you very much for the this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Silvana, for the presentation. I think which highlighted, very strongly the importance of innovation in developing the smart community as a concept, with all the smart mobility, smart living, smart government. So this requires a lot of innovation, and also you highlighted also the internationalization aspect. And maybe here one short question and maybe comment from you. I found very interesting the slide you presented with these 660 study cases of cities around the world. And maybe so how do you maybe also in the future, I think that Europe can be also a provider of innovative solutions, maybe also for other cities around the world, in terms of smart living, smart mobility, smart smart government, because yeah, we have the ambition, Europe has the ambition to be a leader, innovation leader. So how do you see this in the future? Yeah, how could we maybe we think about it? How could we develop this in the Enterprise Europe network with the European Clusters Alliance? How do you see this cooperation with these cities, and why did you choose them? So how, maybe an idea to comment a little bit on this.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, the cities were, as I told you, it was a study to see which things were the cities doing during COVID. So it was mainly, of course, a secondary research. We didn't do any interviews on that, at least from the cities outside Italy. But the idea was to observe how they were tackling the pandemic. And yes, as you said, of course, we can. The idea for us is to start supporting the Italian part first, but then through collaboration go to at least spread and the experience that the cities and us as clusters and the communities have had in developing new services and new things here, and yeah, share that with other cities around Europe and also around the world. Actually, together with Fernando, we are part of a project, of a COSME project. It's one of the cluster exchange, and it's actually tackling smart cities. So in smart cities, in terms of mobility, energy, environment, and ICT, and our idea and what we're doing is organizing trainings and, well, hopefully missions in the next part of the semester to go to get to know this smart city ecosystem of different cities around Europe, and to take the companies also to see and exchange information about what can be done, what are the needs, and how can be matched with potential solutions. So why not? It would be a good way to replicate this also at an international level. And yeah, through the EEN, it's always, as you were mentioning, it's a good way to, of course, to open everything to more SMEs, because at the end, all these projects, or the main part of the cluster is still we work for our members, because of course they're an important part of us, but through the EEN we can reach more SMEs and potential interested parties to contribute to this.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
If I may, Silvana, that's a very interesting topic. I see that Fernando is also with us. I would propose you to organize on the next half year session on this, on smart cities, and it's very, I will say that it's I am sure it will be of high interest for many of our cluster community. So let's speak about it later. Okay, another moment.
Perfect.
Yes. So this, thank you, Silvana. This brings us to our next speaker, to Fernando Zubiaga from the MLC IPS Euskadi cluster in Spain. Fernando, you have the floor.
Thank you, Daniel. I try to share my presentation. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. I try to I come Fernando Zubiaga. I come from the Basque Mobility and Logistic Cluster. Yeah, and the next 10-15 minutes I'll try to explain who we are and what are we going to work in the next 4 years. Yeah, COVID included, basically.
No, just for your knowledge, okay. Your camera is activated, but we are not seeing you. We are seeing white.
Yeah, I have a small device. Yeah, safety device. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Antonio. Thank you. Okay, so we are 104 and 14 members. Okay, and we are 140 members, and we are working in logistics, industrial logistics and good transport, and people's mobility, basically. Okay. Well, like you know, each cluster works in different ways. So we work in 3 main pillars or subjects. Yeah, Innovation, we've been very active in innovation, in cooperation from the very first beginning. We were born in 2005, okay? And also internationalization, okay? We've been working in internationalization, but eventually in the last, I don't know, 5 years, we strengthened this area because we think and we see that market is more global. It has a lot of opportunities, but also a lot of threats. Okay, so we need to work in there and try to facilitate and to make our SMEs stronger, and basic dynamic cooperation. Yeah, basically, if you have the whole value chain, but the cooperation, the dynamic cooperation is very important. Yeah, because the problem or need of one company, it's the solution or system of other. This is how our partners work or interrelate with each other. Okay, in the square above, we have our two main value changes, which is supply chain activities. Okay, industrial, logistic, good transport, and also people transport. Okay, mobility of people. They are our two main value changes, and underneath in here we have our service providers. First of all, we have the logistics and transport service providers, very important, yeah, and this provides services and activity to our two main value changes, yeah. And right in the middle, yeah, with this yellow box, we have our product and service providers. We are also an ITS, Intelligent Transport System Association of the Basque Country, and these are very important. These roles, these stakeholders are very important for us, yeah, because we see that the cooperation, it's a lot easier and it facilitates in the technological point of view. And in the technological point of view is going to be, well, it is very important. We've been working in that for almost 17 years, yeah, and we think that it's going to be even more important in the next years, yeah. So we think that in here, and we're working in here, yeah, to work mainly our actions in technology and innovation. Our numbers, as I say, 140 companies, almost 11,000 million turnover, almost 14% of the Basque GDP, almost 13% of export ratio, almost 2% of research and innovation activity ratio, and 46,500 jobs represents our partners. Yeah, this means because we have very big companies within our partners. Okay. But more than 75% of our partners are SMEs or startups, yeah, which is the focus of our activity, basically. Also, with the Basque country is composed of 3 countries, we have representation on each of these countries. Okay, we have infrastructures, administration, service and product companies, so we are quite even and representing the whole Basque country in the mobility and logistics sector. Okay, and now I will jump to our activity. Okay, we just started our new strategic plan for the next 4 years. Okay, and these slides resume quite well what are we going to work on. Okay, our challenges are 5. 4 are sector challenges, like most of you are working on probably. Encourage the innovation and cooperation. Yeah, we are quite specialized in this, but that's something that we want to still keep on working. New partners are looking for that also. Okay, promotion of internationalization, as we say. Yeah, we need to sell our product. Our SMEs need to sell our product and in a global market. Sectoral activation, yeah, which is this dynamic cooperation, this dynamic activation of the sector. Talent development, this is a new challenge for us. Yeah, we've been working in the last 2 years in this because companies are asking for it. Yeah, it's a big problem, probably the same for all of you. Yeah, we have problems attracting talent and keeping talent in our sector. Maybe our sector is quite unique or it has particularities. Yeah, we have very low profile profiles. Yeah, like I don't know, truck driver. Yeah, and also very high profiles, probably like, I don't know, mathematical algorithm programmer and stuff like that, okay? So it's quite, the work is quite a lot, and we are cooperating with administration in this, yeah? And finally is the cluster management, internal challenge, but also the positioning and promoting of the cluster, our sector, and to make it visible, our effort, okay? They are our horizontals and our verticals, yeah, they are our opportunity areas that we have identified and that we are going to work in the 4 years. Yeah. The first one is the clean mobility and logistics, okay? In here, we are working things like carbon footprint, alternative fuels, mobility plans to work, circular economy, etc. Yeah. The second one will be connected mobility. We are working on all this connected vehicle infrastructure, yeah, and associated services. All right. And eventually we see, yeah, an autonomous driving. Yeah, the question will be when. Okay. This opportunity area probably is the one that is farther away from the market. Okay. So in here, our strategy will be to research, development, and positioning of our SMEs overall in Europe. Okay. Then logistics 4.0, yeah, which will be the digitalization of all the whole supply chain. Also, we are working in intelligent infrastructure, logistical intelligent infrastructure, multimodal infrastructures, also intralogistics, yeah, processes within the factories, etc. And finally, smart cities, yeah. We, from our point of view, the mobility challenges, which is going to be urban mobility challenges, intelligent and sustainable. The big market opportunities is going to be in urban mobility, intelligent and sustainable mobility. And we also include, yeah, urban distribution, which is going to be very important. We've seen that in the pandemic period, where the home delivery was increased dramatically in some cases. Yeah. This is how we are interacting. So we have the sectorial activation, yeah, with all our working groups, etc. Yeah, and we are feeding the rest of our challenges: internationalization, innovation, and talent development. Okay, which are connected with each other, and basically all this work with these 4 challenges will give us the opportunity for positioning and promoting our cluster, our sector, our activities. Yeah, we will have the tools, yeah, within our activity in order to make it our sector more visible. Okay. So basically, I'm going to tell you a little bit, sectorial activation. Yeah, we have 13 working groups, active working groups. Okay. And 4 activity opportunity areas, where we share and work information, work particular activities. Yeah. We also have ITS Congress, annual ITS Congress is quite important. It's the regional one because it's a networking, it's very appreciated by our partners, yeah, because it's a networking tool in order to get together all the sector, yeah, 1 per year at least. And then also we have summer course, yeah, with the University of the Basque Country, which is a high performance speeches. Yeah, this year we talk about hydrogen and mobility, for instance. And then also we are very active in newsletters, social media, press release, etc. Yeah. So when the pandemic started, all these changes, yeah, all our very appreciated ITS Congress, summer courses, we have to reinvent, and the companies were completely lost also in this activity. Yeah. So now we like rest of you, we did all by webinars, and now we're doing semi-presential. Yeah. And next year we try to do presential and go back, yeah, together. And what do we do when the COVID started? Yeah. So we saw that it was a big mess, yeah, and the information was not very clear. Companies didn't know what they wanted to do. So first of all, we went to our working groups to identify what were the needs. Yeah. After that, we're having this. We decided to do a measure of the impact of the COVID. For that, we are doing 3 questionnaires. Okay. The first one was, okay, what do you need once the pandemic started? What do you need, and how can we help you? Second one, after 1 year, at the end of the last year was to say what is the state now, okay, and what is what you are requiring, okay. And now we are planning to do at last, we hope to be a last questionnaire to see once the pandemic and the crisis is over, what is the real situation and how can we help you, yeah. Also, we started unifying the distribution and distributing the information with laws, regulations. That was very appreciated by our partners because the information was very messy, yeah, in the very first beginning. And also we facilitate and we make group buy-in for protection equipment, yeah, because some of the companies were stopped because they didn't have masks or suits or etc. And our main activity in collaboration with our administration was to identify help programs, yeah, and to see how could be redirected, yeah, this cooperation with administration for the sector, yeah. Our sector is people, logistics, and also ITS companies, yeah. So it was the needs were very different, okay. In here also our network, international workers network, was very important in order to clarify and to have advice and to see what other people, other partners or other countries were doing or other associations were doing. So that was very appreciated also from our partners and from ourselves also, yeah. In the projects, okay, we stopped presenting projects, okay. That's well, we are very active in European projects. In here you can see, yeah, the slides of our projects, yeah. This is our intranet. So as you can see, we have very little projects presented, okay, because we concentrate in the COVID, okay, and to identify what are we going to work. And now 2021 and 2022, we are ready to start new projects, okay, mainly at European level. 70% of our projects are at European level. Yeah, we started with the regional projects in 2005, but now we are concentrating in Europe. We think that it's a lot more interesting for our SMEs, mainly to work with Italian, French, and Germans and etc. Yeah, than working at regional level, okay. And in here, as Silvana say, we are coordinating an event next week where we are where we want to present and support our partners to present projects that we are working, and we are going to present 21-22 in many different subjects, mobility as a service, this urban distribution, intelligent roads, etc. Okay, and in here, COVID it's also present, yeah, in all these projects, all right. And finally, internationalization. Well, all the international activity stopped. We are active, or we were very active working with South America, and it's more even the companies told us that their activity stopped. They don't sell anymore what they used to sell, and now everything was COVID system, yeah. So we support all the companies, we make all the new application system that the companies are selling and try to promote them, and now we are working in a digital and dynamic catalog, okay, in order to present all these products and services that our companies are commercializing in a very dynamic way. All right, and this will be all, yeah, from our side.
Thank you very much, Fernando, for this very comprehensive presentation. I would have a short question. You mentioned, and I find this very important, the talent, the human resources development as a strategic objective of your cluster. And I would like to, yeah, because it's clear that the labor market will dramatically change due to the digitalization process, and not only in the next period. So what are the skills that are lacking now to people working in this field of activities? Where is the need for requalification in particular?
Well, unfortunately, our sector is very wide, yeah. So the needs are very different, yeah. For the ITS company, for instance, yeah? What they need is people specialized, okay, and engineers, yeah. They cannot find engineers, yeah. Some companies they are even rejecting new contracts because they can't have people working this contract. They cannot grow, yeah. All right. And in the mobility and logistics sector, yeah, one of the big problems is the drivers. Okay, so overall, some companies have to stop, and some companies can grow because they don't have drivers. So in here we have both profiles, yeah, very low profile and very specialized profiles. Yeah. Here we are working with administration and universities and also formation companies in order to work all these profiles, yeah, from very basic courses, okay, to masters or PhD, okay. So
okay, thank you very much. I just put the link to the event next week. We invite you to register. It will be, as Silvana and Fernando said, it will be a complex event, having also brokerage event, presentation of competencies and ideas for New Horizon Europe projects, and also a conference part dedicated also to smart cities. And I would also like to, I saw that Marek has shared the link. Maybe Marek, you could in a few words, if you are, tell us about it. Yeah.
I think this is something which is extremely important, particularly for mobility, because and I would like really you to have a look in details of this package, because this will set many requirements and reshape the whole mobility. Just to it covers a broad range of measures, regulations, and regarding energy, regarding emission trading scheme, climate, everything which is related. But there are two which are extremely important for mobility, I think. It relates to the stronger CO2 emission standards for cars and vans, which should accelerate the transition to zero emission mobility by requiring average emissions of new cars to come down by 55% from 2030 and 100% from 2035 compared to 2021, which means actually that in 2035 we should have only zero emission cars in the market. It as well tackles the issue of the infrastructure, which require member states to expand charging capacity in line with zero emissions car sales, to install charging and fueling points at regular intervals on major highways every 60 kilometers for electric charging and every 150 kilometers for hydrogen refueling. Of course, this implies lots of actions, lots of investments, lots of research, lots of activities at different level, at different tiers, and this is going to be regulated and is regulated in revised alternative fuels infrastructure regulation, which is now published yesterday. On top of this, there is alternative fuels infrastructure regulation, which is for aviation and maritime fuels to decrease the carbon footprint. So I encourage you to have a look. Extremely important piece of legislation there, and which will have really serious in the positive sense implications for the transition. And then we have the transition pathways, how to do it with technology, with skills, in order to have sort of the action plans in each territory for each industrial ecosystem, as we said. So I put it here, the link. You can have a look, and of course it's very much depending on in which areas you are operating, so that you can as well draw conclusions. How does it impact your organizations? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marek. So, ladies and gentlemen, so we have had, I think, a very interesting session. So we have seen that mobility has several aspects. We have seen the impact on the car industry, the French presentation of Vincent of Next Move. but then we saw that mobility has also, it's also about smart cities, it's about smart living, it's about smart government. So it's much more complex, as we saw from Silvana, from the smart community cluster in Italy. And we have also seen what does it mean to structure the strategy of a cluster, and the changes that the profound changes that the COVID crisis has put on the strategic challenges of the cluster in the presentation of Fernando. And in this last presentation, we have also seen the importance of skilling, upskilling, reskilling of the labor force to cope with the new challenges, which, one of the main challenges were presented by Marek. This the 2035 ambition, which will impact deeply on the mobility sector. I thank you very much for your interest in this session, and I go back to Anton.
Thank you very much, Silvana, Fernando, Daniel, for sure, and Marek. I would propose, Marek, to organize a session specifically to present this new 55 package. Okay, it's really important for us to fully grasp what is involved on it and how can we contribute to their goals. Okay, but let's speak about it at other moment. Thank you again, and I wish you a very nice day. I hope to see you soon also. And if possible, I will register for sure for next week's meetings, your event. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.